Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Fatboyz Dynasty podcast. We're going to kick off the offseason for us Fat Boys. I know it's still playoff time, but we're going to be kicking off our offseason rookie breakdowns. We're gonna get right into quarterbacks. We're going to talk about some quarterbacks this week, and then move on to some running backs, wide receivers, and then bring it back around. Anything you guys want to hear about or anything else, make sure you guys hit us up on the Facebook, on Fantasyholics, or on the Fat Boys page. We definitely would love to put out some listener content. Bo, you got anything to add before we jump into these quarterbacks?
Yeah, so Brant, for me too, I want to say I know with the quarterbacks we're kind of starting with the cream of the crop, and we'll move on to some running backs next week and some wide receivers after that. But a lot of you guys already know about the cream of the crop guys, but we do this for the general pop that doesn't know about those guys. So if there's a lower tiered guy that you're interested in, maybe you've got a 5-round or a 6-round or even just a 4-round rookie draft that you do for your dynasty leagues and stuff, and there's some deep flyers that you want to hear us talk about or break down these guys a little bit. Send us a name. I think Brant and I will probably do some of our favorite deep dives on our own anyway, but we'll probably stick to most of the top rated guys at each position just because that's what the most people want to talk about. But I have no problem fitting in some of those lesser known guys and kind of just educating myself on them as well as others. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. This is my favorite time of the year. This is where you separate yourself from everybody else as far as dynasty leagues especially go, and even redrafts. You get enough information and looking at some of these young incoming guys that you may have a better feel for where these guys go in redraft as well as dynasty. So I know there's a lot of dynasty leagues that draft prior to the actual NFL draft. None of my 3 leagues do that. None of my 3 dynasties do that. Ours are all after the NFL drafts, but it definitely helps you get a little better feel for where you want guys and stuff based on landing spot. But for those drafts that you don't get that luxury, you want to know everything there is to know about these guys prior to. That way, yeah, this guy's a stud. He's gonna make it wherever he goes. This guy's a dud. He needs the right situation, whatever. So we're here to help with all things this incoming rookie class. So I'm excited for today. Brant, I know you're excited too. Typically don't get that excited over quarterbacks. Man, when I started diving in on this guy that I'm going to talk about today, I was just really into it. It may be because it's the first one of the off season. I was just, extremely gung-ho, ready to be back into the dynasty world after, live start sits and all the other fun things that we did this year. But I was definitely, it felt very much back at home, jumping into some film studies on this guy. So.
Yeah, this offseason, it's going to come a little different for me. Last offseason, I had 2 or 3 first-round draft picks in our dynasty leagues, so I was really diving into, early draft picks. This year, I pretty much sold the house for a championship run, which I did end up splitting. I have later picks, so I'll be diving a little deeper into these draft names than I did last year. That, and there's a good chance this fat boy is going to be down in Kansas City for the draft, so of course I want to be known on these guys' names as we're down there. And this is the first year in a long time that Seattle's had a top 10 pick. So I'm really excited to do some dives on these players and actually look at some guys that will be coming into Seattle or that Seattle has a chance to get, because we all know what Seattle's really going to do. We're going to trade out of the 5 spot and go grab like 3 or 4 tight ends with all those draft picks and hope that it works out for the best.
Absolutely.
So
Brant, you want to kick us off, or you want me to go?
I'll go ahead and kick us off real fast.
Okay.
I got C.J. Stroud, Ohio State quarterback. Finished in the national semifinals this year for college football. Put up a heck of a game against Georgia before Georgia went into the cakewalk of the national championship they had. Who would have thought? You get a huge trophy and those beautiful rings, and it's probably the easiest game on your schedule. So C.J. Stroud.
Not many people expected that.
Yeah. So C.J. Stroud, he's 21 years old. He's 6'3", 218 pounds. He has a rough 40 time, going into college of 4.74. This guy is a top 3 quarterback in this draft. He's going to go inside the top 10 most likely in this draft. There's a good chance you see him get pulled at the number 5 for a team that's coming up to get him. I know he's up there with who you're going to talk about, and then a couple other guys that we're also going to talk about later on. But this guy, he's a leader. He's a natural leader on his team. He's got strong pocket presence. He's got a great feel for the game, for how the game flow's going. He's amazing in the pocket. He comes from a pro style offense in Ohio State University. So I mean, he's athletic. He's not the most speedy type as scrambler, but he is very athletic. He's able to escape while staying in the pocket. He's got great accuracy. He's got great accuracy overall. Your short routes, your deep routes, your medium routes. His accuracy is far and probably one of the best in this draft. And so he's got great accuracy. Those are some of his big positives. But here's his weakness, and this could really hurt him to start his career. His footwork needs a little work. He relies too much on his tippy toes, so that's going to throw off a little bit of his accuracy and everything else there. So that's going to be a little bit for him, rougher for him in the NFL. He's been surrounded by pro NFL caliber wide receivers. So he's had a lot of scapegoats, as you may call them. I mean, let's look at some of these names. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jackson Smith. I'm not even going to try the last name right now.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
So he's been surrounded by guys of that are going to be amazing in the NFL or already have had amazing NFL careers. So this guy, he has had the bailout option. He won't create a whole lot outside of the pocket. He's more of a pocket passer, so it'll be a little rougher for him outside the pocket, but that's something that can be taught. And he's been inconsistent against heavy pass rushes. So that'll be something that he will also have to work with. To sum him up, he's got great size, he's got great speed, he's got great strength. He's got great strength of an NFL caliber quarterback. It's definitely what you want to see when drafting a quarterback. Now, I know I talked about some of his weaknesses of his accuracy, or of being surrounded by pro wide receivers and not being able to create a whole lot outside of the pocket. But those are things that can really be worked upon. And he gets inconsistent against a heavy pass rush. I know I've already hit on that once. But so when it comes down to where he goes, if he goes to a team such as, I want to put out the Indianapolis Colts, top 10 offensive line, when healthy, great running back, decent wide receivers there, that would be a great spot for him because he's going to be behind a great offensive line, and he's not going to have to struggle with as much of a pass rush there with the Colts. And same with, honestly, in Carolina. Carolina's offensive line has improved so much, too. And, I mean, he gets to go match up and get DJ Moore. So, I mean, he'll be able to have, an elite wideout. In my mind, DJ Moore is still elite. He needs to be a little more consistent, but we've seen his quarterback play. How can you be consistent? But, Indy and Carolina, I think, are great fits for C.J. Stroud. I think he'll be able to start off very strong. I think that will be great. Now, if he winds up somewhere, and I want to punch myself when I say this, but if he ends up somewhere like Seattle, where he's struggling to stay in the pocket and he's scrambling and trying to make plays on the run, he's going to struggle early in the season. He's not going to be the greatest for redrafts. He will be a guy that you draft and you put on your taxi squad and you wait for that line to develop in front of him. Some other spots, I know Atlanta, you guys probably aren't quite high enough to get him. That would be another spot where you could see them to be QB needy. Houston's another one. If for some reason the Bears take a quarterback at number 1, C.J. Stroud would be the number 2 guy there. So I could see and Houston probably wouldn't be the greatest fit for him because you're not even sure what the wide receiver is going to be. So he's going to be based on his fit. If he goes to an Indy or a Carolina behind a good line, he'll be great for redraft leagues late in the draft. Use him as your second bye week quarterback. See what you got. Dynasty leagues, if he goes to any of those places, I think he'll be great for super flexes, to be your QB2. Anywhere else, you're almost just stashing this guy away, and let's see what we got. It's going to be almost a Kenny Pickett scenario where you got to wait and see what he's actually going to do. I want to run over some of the stats real quick. In 2022, he threw for 3,688 yards, 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 66.3 completion rating. 2021 was his best year. He only was a 2-year starter. 4,435 yards, 44 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. This is what stuck out to me. 830 total attempts in college, and he only threw 12 interceptions. The man takes care of the ball. He does not throw too many picks. And, I mean, his completion percentage is 66 in 2022 and 71 in 2021. But once again, like we talked about, he did have those bailout wide receivers there in college. But this guy, he takes care of the ball pretty well.
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say about C.J. Stroud, Brant, is surrounding yourself at a college level with pro-ready wide receivers isn't necessarily a bad thing, because when you get to the NFL, you're going to be with a bunch of pro-caliber and wide receivers. So, definitely not something to necessarily take away from C.J. Stroud. I do have C.J. as my number 2 prospect in this draft. The guy I'm getting ready to talk about I have as my number 1. But I do want to say, first and foremost, it's early in the process with these quarterbacks coming in, but I would be shocked to not see 3 or 4 of these quarterbacks go in the first round this year, just because I think the talent of this year's quarterback class is night and day in comparison to what we got last year. We saw, Kenny Pickett go in the first round, and then a bunch of quarterbacks go in the third, and then another wave in like the fourth. I think this year you're going to see, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Bryce Young, maybe Anthony Richardson. Some of these guys are going to get drafted on day 1 this year in this coming draft. So, and I think big part of that's too because of their talent. I did look into C.J. Stroud a little bit, obviously. With being in a super flex dynasty league, it always pays to, kind of research some of your guys that you may have a small outside chance at, right? But the one big thing I saw about C.J. Stroud is he's definitely got the NFL quarterback-sized body. And it just seemed like it was a little hard for him to work through his progressions. He spent too much time on his first read. And whatever, but his completion numbers say that's not a problem for him. So, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get into my guy here, which is Bryce Young, the 6 foot, 190-pound, 194-pound, 21-year-old out of the University of Alabama. Now he will be 22 years of age prior to the start of next year's NFL season. This guy has won a Heisman Trophy last year, and then this year it was in the running as well, but didn't finish high enough up there to see his name called. But I want to start with the stats on Bryce Young, and then I'm going to get into some of the other stuff, because some of these stats, there's reasons behind it all. So in his Heisman year, he threw 547 passes, completed 366 of those, for a 66.9% completion rating, 4,872 yards passing, averaged 8.9 yards per attempt, for 47 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. This year, the numbers are way down, all right? 380 passes total for him this year, so 14 more total passes than he completed the year prior. Completed 245 of those for 64.5%, 3,328 yards. 8.8 yards per attempt. So the total amount of passing plays went down this year, but his average stayed roughly the same. So that was a good indicator of how good Bryce Young is. 32 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Now, why does this stand out to me? So I did some deep diving on some of the numbers and things. And the first thing that caught my mind is similar to what we talked about with C.J. Stroud. In his Heisman year, he had Jonathan Mechie and Jamison Williams, 2 of the more electric wide receivers. In football last year, these are guys that you could get the ball to in space and let them eat, if you will. So he definitely went from really talented wide receivers, which we're used to seeing in Alabama, right? All the way back to the Julio Jones days, there's been nothing but great wide receivers come out of Alabama every single year of the draft. This is the first year you're not going to have that. So out of Bryce Young's pass catchers this year, the best pass catcher that he had, the guy he trusted the most, was his running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, who saw 44 catches. His next was Jermaine Bunton, a junior transfer from the University of Georgia, who caught 40 passes, and Ja'Cory Brooks, a sophomore at Alabama, caught 39 passes. Now, the most interesting thing that I found when I dug deep onto Bryce Young last year is that out of all the passes he threw, 22 passes were dropped by his wide receivers that would have either A, resulted in a first down or a touchdown this year. So on big plays, Bryce Young's wide receivers and his pass catchers weren't making plays on balls. So that's a big thing, too, that knocks him down this year. But in his most recent performance of the season, in the Sugar Bowl against Kansas State this year, he threw 21 passes, completed 15 of those for 321 yards, 71.4% completion rating, and then 5 touchdowns to 0 interceptions in his bowl game there. So, his last chance to go out and really show out for NFL scouts, and he absolutely just nailed it. So over the course of his entire career, and the only reason I bring this up really is because it's what you just brought up with C.J. Stroud. Bryce Young threw 949 total passes in his collegiate career at Alabama and still only threw 12 interceptions. So about 50 more passes than C.J. Stroud there, I believe, and same amount of interceptions. So Bryce Young is extremely accurate.
How many passes did he throw?
949.
How about over 100 more passes?
Okay, so 100 more passes than C.J. Stroud and the same amount of interceptions. So there you go. The biggest knock on Bryce Young is that at his size, how well does he hold up to an NFL schedule? Is seeing over the offensive line going to be a problem? Well, I truly think Bryce Young is going to be the first quarterback off the board. I think he ends up going to the Houston Texans at that number 2 spot unless some quarterback needy team trades up. And a lot of people would say Houston's not a great landing spot, and a lot of people would be very correct, myself included. But if anybody could go in and make Houston seem relevant, I feel like Bryce Young's the type of guy. And the reason why, and this is all stuff that I found in film breakdowns, his anticipation is amazing. He puts the ball where he expects his receivers to be. He has that trust with his guys, and more often than not, it's right where it's supposed to be. His ball placement is that to where, on outside throws or deep throws over the middle, he puts it where his guy can get it or nobody else. Very, very good ball placement. Bryce Young is very mobile. His rough 40 time was 4.52. So very good movement. And what is unique about him is when the pocket breaks down, not only does he navigate the pocket well, find space in the pocket, but if he has to leak out of the pocket and find a spot to get out and allow a play to develop more, he still finds a way to set his feet and get off an accurate throw with a good amount of pace behind it. This is something that you don't see in every draft class. This is not something you see in every quarterback. Not every mobile quarterback can set their feet when they throw. Justin Fields, I think, is a prime example of what we saw to him this year. Justin Fields leaks out of the pocket. Sometimes his throws are overthrows, underthrows, behind the guy, too far in front of him because he's not getting his feet set. Bryce Young does not have that problem. Now, the only other problem, one more strength. Bryce Young's accuracy and his arm strength are slightly above average. He's not going to wow anybody with how far he can throw the ball. I'd say it's more than just basically capable of what an NFL quarterback needs to do. He's not going to hit any 80-yard touchdown passes where the ball is just, butterflying into a guy's hands in the back of the end zone. But he can get the ball where it needs to go accurately, quickly. Now, again, the flaws with this guy is obviously, again, the size. But what he often did in college, and this is something that, again, a good NFL coach will correct, but sometimes he has a wide open target that's 6-7 yards away from the line of scrimmage, where he could get a ball to that guy quick, and maybe that guy gets hit immediately, but it's still a 6-7 yard gain. Sometimes he overlooks that in favor of taking a deep shot that maybe his wide receiver has half of a step on a guy deep. He oftentimes looked for that rather than hitting like a Jahmyr Gibbs out in the flat, where he was going to have 5 or 6 yards of open daylight in front of him. So I think those are things that get fixed at the NFL level. Now, again, his size is something to be concerned about because you don't see quarterbacks that are 6 foot, 194 pounds, which, again, I think these numbers might be slightly high. It'll be interesting to see what his actual measurables are when the combine comes around or his pro day. But this is something similar like Kenny Pickett last year where he didn't want his hands to be measured forever. And then finally they did, because the longer you can keep this stuff out of the public eye, the better it is. But I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Bryce Young be 5'11", 189 pounds. And again, those are alarming numbers for a quarterback. So we'll see. I think this guy, if he goes anywhere, or when he gets drafted, I think he's going to have a high chance for success, probably one of the best in this class. I do think it's worth noting that I think Will Levis could end up being the number one quarterback drafted in this class. I think you and I will discuss him at some point, Brant. I think Will Levis is probably the most intelligent quarterback in the class, and I think that's where his draft stock's going to rise when he starts getting into these meetings with teams and starts getting to display some of that. Excuse me. But the two most fun options are the two guys we've talked about today. I think these guys are electric quarterbacks. I think they're going to be fun for fantasy. And I will tell you, as a dynasty owner, if either C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young end up throwing a ball to one of my guys that I own and roster in a dynasty league, I'm going to be very, very intrigued by that. So, again, I think these guys are really fun. I think they're the cream of the crop, and I think next week we're going to be cream of the crop on our running backs too. But this class, I just want to reiterate, in my opinion, from the top down, is better than last year's class. Last year had some really fun talent with Brees Hall and Kenneth Walker and Drake London and stuff. But I think this class as a whole is going to end up shaking out better than last year's class.
Yeah, absolutely. This class is definitely going to shape up. You got some big names in the running back field. You got some big names in the quarterback, and the wide receivers are the ones that I'm a little shaky on if they're going to be as good as the last two that have come out. But I think we're gonna see that a lot more now as how important the wide receiver is, and so yeah, these two quarterbacks are definitely going to be exciting. I think they should go 1-2 in the NFL draft. If it were here shortly, we'll see as this offseason goes on if anything's changed. Will Levis definitely can't go to Seattle. He likes to put mayonnaise in his coffee, so we'll have to just hopefully he stays.
That's not weird. That's not weird at all. I put creamer on my sandwiches all the time.
Yeah, sure you don't. So, but yeah, this is just the start of our off-season episodes. We're gonna get in. We're gonna break down some names. Like we said, if you guys have some guys you guys want to hear us break down, hear us check out. Shoot us the names. We're definitely interested in checking them out. We'll go into our rookie rankings. We'll do some mock drafts during this off-season. Rookie, dynasty, redraft, startups, all that. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to getting into this.
Brand, I don't know how you feel about this. I'm going to kind of hit you on the spot here because we hadn't discussed it, but I want to do a mock draft like the week after the actual NFL draft takes place. So if any of you guys are interested in getting on doing a 10-person, 5-6 round rookie draft with Brant and I'd love to see some of you guys get on. Maybe Brant and I can do that live on the Fantasyholics YouTube channel. Just to keep some engagement high, get you guys on there, do a live 6-round draft. We'll have to be quick. It won't be able to be a long thing if we're going to fit it in an episode. But Brant and I typically do, 3 or 4 rookie mock drafts, whether it be right after the draft and then, a couple here and there leading up to the draft. And then we do some, redraft mock drafts and then dynasty mock drafts as well as startups. So, but if anybody wants to be involved in that, I'd love to have some of you guys out there, throw your name in the hat. So if that's something you guys are interested in, I think we'll probably put a post up as it gets closer and we get concrete dates. But if any of you want to secure your spot in that, don't hesitate to throw us a message or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I normally do, with myself, I'll normally do 2 or 3 mock drafts a day, rookie drafts whenever I have enough picks. This year I might get it down to 1 or 2.
I just simply meant we do a few on air.
Oh,
I will do a couple. I will do a couple hundred for my personal life as well. You always try to map out what your friend's going to take at what spot and who's going to be available at your next pick. Yeah. I'm talking about professional podcast mock drafts.
Oh, okay.
Probably do 3 or 4 of those rookies, and then, like I said, a dynasty startup and a redraft startup at some point prior to the season. And I'd like to do those live with fan engagement if we can make those happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's going to sum it up for our first episode here in this off season, and we look forward to continue to break down some of these incoming rookies. And as always, stay hungry
and stay fat, my friends.